Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of podcast on D-Shot. My guest today is the former wrestling coach at UW-Whitewater, now the head coach at Division I Bellarmine. None other than Ned Shuck. Ned, how's it going?
Things are going good, man. We're having a good time here in mid-season right now, so a lot of things happening, a lot of energy around the program right now. So we're having fun.
So my first question for you, Ned, is how did you first find your love for the sport of wrestling?
Um, I don't know if I that's kind of interesting to put that find my love for wrestling. I think that came much later actually, because I originally my brother just kind of said I was going to wrestle, and my brother was 6 years older than I was, and he beat up on me all the time, kind of big brother little brother deal. But probably wasn't until I experienced my first like level of success, I guess, in youth wrestling. It's probably around second grade where I acquired kind of a love for the sport. Where before I was just kind of doing it because I was being told to type of deal. But found out I was pretty good at it actually, and my brother helped me along, taught me some things that helped me be successful when I was young, and that's kind of where my love started for sure.
Okay. Obviously you were a Division I wrestler. You were a four-time letter winner and three-time all academic selection at Iowa. What was it like being a Division I wrestler, especially at Iowa in the Big Ten? And then how does being a former all academic selection help with kind of motivating student athletes?
Yeah, so my experience was really enjoyable. I had a great time at Iowa, and surrounded by some really cool people at that time for sure, and took away a lot from that experience that was helping me now. It still is helping me as a coach, and those relationships I built then, same deal. Some of those guys are still coaching. Obviously, Tom Brands is still the head coach at Iowa, and so somebody I had the opportunity to work with quite a bit, and still learn a lot from him. Gable and all those guys. There's a lot of guys around that program during that time. But ultimately, you know, looking at the full scope of things, student athlete wise, and wrestling in the Big Ten, a lot of that was pretty neat. I'm not gonna sugarcoat any kind of experiences. It was tough, like it was hard, and but that's really what I gravitated to. I that's the reason I went there at the time, because I thought that was the best opportunity for me to pursue win a national championship. And I really wasn't at the level of coming out of high school as a top recruit coming into that program, and so I knew if I was going to have to work myself into it, it was going to happen. So ultimately, that's why I went there, and it didn't shy away from, or it didn't take away from my experience, my ability, and my pursuit to win a national championship. It didn't happen, but I had things there in place for me to pursue that, which is what's most important for me at that time. So in terms of being the academic, all selection, all that stuff, like, to be honest with you, at that time, it really wasn't enough of my focus. That I did well in school, obviously, but going into my college experience, I didn't really think a whole lot about what was going to happen after, in terms of how my academic stuff was going to relate to it, and giving and attaining the career that I wanted. I knew I wanted to be a teacher and coach at the time, but I didn't really pursue excellence probably at the level in the classroom that I definitely could have. But ultimately, that's allowed me to, have high expectations for my guys on the team, and really help them have a clear vision of what they're looking to do. Not every kid has it all figured out when they're 18, just to give you a little idea of where my focus was at that time was, 100% on wrestling. I met with my academic advisor, a couple of weeks before school to get registered for my classes. And she asked me, at that time, what do you want to major in? And I said, well, I want to be a, physical education teacher, health teacher, and a wrestling coach. And she said, we don't have that here. I was like, oh, okay. I was just like, what are you talking about? It's like 40,000 students here at the school, like whatever it was, like you don't have physical education and health. Like, how is that even possible? But I was the first one in my family to go to college. And so I didn't have a lot of mentoring in that process to kind of help me along the way. Was a pretty good student in high school to help me get in, but yeah, nothing crazy. But now I'm able to use those experiences to help my guys see a little bit clearer on what is most important for them on the academic side of things and how it sets them up for their career. So um, I'll definitely take from my experiences and keep helping mentor guys to get what they need.
I guess any favorite moments or moments that stick out from your collegiate wrestling career? I guess any that are especially that have to do with going up against the Wisconsin Badgers.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't get the opportunity to wrestle in a duel versus the Badgers, so I never had that opportunity to do just that. But in terms of favorite moments, like to be honest with you, there was a lot of goals that kind of fell short, and that was pretty stressful, pretty heartbreaking, I guess you would say, right? When you set your mind to doing something to accomplish something, you put your whole mind, body, effort, soul into it, and you don't get it. It's a little bit tough. But I would just I would look back at I'd say the best moments are the little things in the room that my coaches imposed on me at the time that were game changers for my mentality. It wasn't necessarily one of the matches we won as a team or I won as an athlete or anything like that. It stands out. I was like, oh wow, that was just incredible. It's more so the relationships that were built and the mentality that I learned, and a lot of that was from Coach Gable, just being on the side a little bit and having conversations about training and about mentality and expectation and all those things. So hard to pinpoint probably one of those, but that's probably where I look back at my best memories, my favorite time. There I look at those moments.
I guess how did your wrestling career at Iowa prepare you as a coach? And then when did obviously you kind of talked about that you wanted to be a coach kind of right at the beginning of your college career. So like when did you want to realize that you wanted to be specifically a wrestling coach, especially at the college level?
Yeah, so being a wrestling coach at the college level didn't come until significantly later. Actually, after I was coaching high school, I coached high school for 4 years right out of college. And so originally I just thought I was going to take a high school program that, had seen, minimal success, at best, and really build it into a national powerhouse program. So I had that opportunity in Chaska, Minnesota. That's where I originally started. And it was great. Really got a great thing going. I had some amazing people to work around. Mike Hauk, who was a world champion, in Greco, US's first world champion. He was a guy that I got to coach a high school team with. He coached the national team for the USA wrestling program for 5 years. And so I got my first job out of college, and that's who I get to coach with. So it was pretty amazing, not just, obviously his credentials speak for themselves, but who he was as a man really kind of helped me, think bigger picture as a coach instead of just the X's and O's of wrestling. Right. And that really catapulted me to be the best coach that I possibly could be. I knew I wanted to coach for a long time, but college specifically didn't happen until, to be honest with you, until they decided that they had to go with coaching in a different direction. We got told that after my fourth season was totally unexpected, and had an opportunity to coach at Augsburg College that next year, and it was really the first day I stepped into the room and got a chance to wrestle with some of the guys and start coaching. I was like, wow, this is more of what I'm suited for, more to my calling, if you will. That I felt like these guys are super passionate about the sport, and they had high expectations too, right? They have a very successful program at Augsburg, won multiple national championships, a lot of individual success. And so it was a great fit. It was a really cool first experience in college wrestling. Jim Molsloff, who's now the head coach there, was amazing for me and instrumental in me getting involved in Augsburg, and can't thank him enough for, everything he gave me there. But really that's when I decided, all right, I want to do this, college head coach thing. And so that's kind of carried me throughout my career, my different stops.
Obviously, Ned, you've coached at multiple Division III schools. You were 47-17 at Whitewater, 11 All-Americans. I think the two-time national champ would have been Jordan Newman. Just what has been the biggest difference between, and obviously you've been at a couple Division I schools. What's been the biggest difference in wrestling at the Division III level to Division I level?
Yeah, it's a pretty common question that I get asked because, having both experiences was kind of unique, not just as an athlete, but coaching both, right? There's not a whole lot of people out there that have coached at both levels. And I always tell people, man, it's truly in my mind all about the expectation you have for your athletes, right? Ultimately, I don't think there's a whole lot of difference other than maybe the level of athlete, that you get at the Division I level. They come in a little bit more college ready, right? They've been highly touted. They've had more success in their history and expect probably a little bit more out of themselves than maybe a kid that, you get as a get into your program as a Division III school, might not be a multiple-time state champion, might be a guy that just hasn't quite got done, but is growing and building, right? And we had a lot of my guys at the Division III level didn't come in as state champions that went on to do very, very well. And so I think there's a lot that goes into, the differences, but reality for me is it comes down to expectation. Like if you expect to be great, you can be great at whatever level. I mentioned my the guy I got to coach with was Mike Hauk, right? So he went to Maranatha Baptist Bible College, right? Wisconsin school,
Yeah.
right? No longer has wrestling, right? Which is unfortunate, but his coach was Ben Peterson, who was, I was incredibly blessed to be able to have, on my staff at Whitewater, and is still there helping out now. He's incredible, right? But Coach Peterson coached an Olympian and Jim Grunwald, who now coaches at Wheaton College, right? He coached Mike Hauk, who is a world champion, right? And then the head football coach at the University of Indiana, I think it's Tom Allen, I believe is his name. They all wrestled at Maranatha Baptist Bible College, a Division III school, right?
Yeah.
So, from those side of things, like if you want to be great, you can be great wherever you want to be great at, right? There's the people that you surround yourself. Yeah, that's important, but you can achieve anything. I really, truly believe that. And obviously Coach Peterson proved that, and what he was able to do with those athletes, and so it's different. There's different schedules, there's other differences school wise, all that stuff. But I think, the expectation and of wanting to achieve greatness, and you just happen to see that probably a little bit at a little bit higher level at the Division I level. More guys are doing that than maybe some guys at Division III are just starting to figure it out a little bit and just starting to believe in themselves. But I absolutely love my time in Division III coaching. I had some incredible experiences, and I truly believe those are somewhere the Division III level is some of the best wrestling coaches in the country. I'm not just saying that to say that. Like there's some really, really good coaches at the Division III level that, don't get a whole lot of attention because, they're not on a Big Ten network, right? They're not getting that visual exposure. Flow Wrestling and, Rockfin and, all those, organizations aren't talking about them. But it doesn't mean they're not great coaches. I think they're amazing coaches in the Division III level. So I guess that's my little take on the Division I versus Division III level. But I think Division III level is incredible.
Okay, what were the biggest challenges of, I guess, being a head coach at both Heidelberg and obviously at Whitewater? Whitewater kind of presented some challenges kind of from the get-go with kind of what was going on near the end of Tim Fader's tenure. Just kind of talk about that, and then what do you miss most about being at Whitewater?
Yeah, so like you said, my first Division I experience was at Heidelberg University. It was a different kind of transition coming in because the coach who was there prior was only there for a year. So he was kind of in and out. And so when you come into a program, they've already seen two coaches, if they're going into their junior year, I've already seen two different coaches. Now they've seen three coaches, going to their junior year, it presents a different type of culture atmosphere, right? They're not sure what to expect. And so it was actually, it was a little bit more welcoming in terms of like, these guys, like they were kind of willing to take in whatever was given to them, right?
Mm.
and not everybody fit the bill in terms of, my expectations and how we were going to train and what I was expecting in the classroom. So we lost some guys right away. I think by the end of the season, I think we had maybe 14 or 15 guys on the team. We finished second in the conference in the first year. Like it was, it was like this close with overtime match. From us winning the conference, and so from that side of things, it was really cool to get the guys that were in behind it, and the guys that weren't, they kind of figured out, hey, this wasn't for me, and move on. But it was fun building that and getting this team and them being able to see the success. I still remember the time that, we're about ready to start school, like the next day type of deal, right? We're about ready to start school, and I have to walk in and tell my team at Heidelberg that, I'm not coming back. And that was pretty tough. That was really tough. And at that time, those guys, man, they were 100% bought in. They were working their butts off. And it was a lot of fun. It was a really incredible group of people that I still stay in contact with a lot of them. Coming into Whitewater was a different challenge as well. Like you mentioned, the previous coach, being removed, not by choice, right? And the challenges that came with the guys, really believing in what he had done previously, right? And now you got somebody come in new that's going to do something different, right? I tell people all the time, like, no two coaches are going to do the same things, right? And I let them know that. I got an opportunity in the interview to let our guys know that, hey, we're going to do things differently. And the differences kind of, off the mat, I think shocked them more than anything. And they asked me in the interview, because I'd given them some things that I was going to do, some of the expectations off the mat. And I think that wasn't quite what they were expecting or maybe wanting to have. And so that was a little bit different, but I had a good group of guys in terms of tough wrestlers, had some accomplishments already. From that side of things, it was cool to step in and be able to just kind of try to jump them to the next level, when they're already pretty dang good, so that was a lot of fun. But yeah, the challenges there were, off the mat. And, to be honest with you, with some of the alumni, some of the older alumni were absolutely amazing, but some of the young guys that, were really loyal to the past coach and saw it happen, I think it was just tough for them to kind of move on and know that he wasn't coming back, and that I was going to be there. And I think it was tough for a lot of them. And so from that side of things, you fight challenges, but, it was really a good time. Whitewater's a really cool place. What do I miss most about Whitewater? Man, it was a great town. It's a great town. It's a great college town. My wife and I grew up in a small town that was very similar to that. Actually, Whitewater's a little bit bigger than our towns that we grew up in. And so we liked that. We liked the family atmosphere. The school systems were good. From that side of things, it was just a really cool community, and we got to meet some really, really great people there. And we miss those people, and we miss those experiences like you would anywhere, right? When you develop some relationships and have to move on. But I had a lot of fun, man, and very, very grateful, for some of our alumni that, really made that experience, really giving our guys opportunity to have an experience there second to none. Their overwhelming generosity really, just gave me a great experience, allowed for us to provide for more coaches, to provide different training, to provide different travel for these guys. We're incredibly grateful for their generosity that gave us those opportunities to pursue. That's what we're doing. We're trying to win a national championship. And, I love your background, man, all those national championships in the back for the football program, right?
Yeah.
That's what we were shooting for, right? And I thought we were on our path. I thought we were on our way and really close to that. But then yeah, there's another transition. So
How is it kind of being at Whitewater? And obviously there's all this in coaching the wrestling program, but also kind of being in an athletic or being a coach at a school where all this athletic success, obviously some of it was kind of happening at that time. Just kind of talk about how cool that was, kind of coaching at Whitewater with that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it was really neat being in the office, right? And I was really close to all the other coaches that were kicking butt. Kerry Carollo was, right next to me my entire time in the office. there. And that was just really neat to be able to talk to people like her, that have had success and had, done a lot of winning, and it was really familiar with Whitewater and what worked at Whitewater. And so coming in, I was able to kind of lean on her from that side of things. Obviously Pat for the men's program had a ton of success. John with the baseball team, all those guys were, a stone's throw away from my office. And so I was really able to, lean on those guys to, kind of show the ropes a little bit on what was working at Whitewater. And obviously there's other successful. Frank was, another guy was great, and had a ton of success. I mean, Stacy Boudreau with volleyball, right? And I mean, a lot of those people are still rocking and rolling and still kicking butt there. But it was just a really neat atmosphere that way, that was surrounded by a bunch of coaches that wanted and expected greatness out of their programs, right? And we're pushing to do just that. And so anytime you're around those type of people, it's fun, man. It's, you're challenging, you have a competitiveness that, I want to, we want to top them, and they keep stepping, they keep raising the bar up, but at the same time supporting each other to have success. And that's really what I felt there at Whitewater, which was really neat.
I guess, like, any interesting stories about any of those coaches? Also, you can't forget about Lance Leipold too.
Oh man, well, Lance was just there just a short amount of time for my time, and interesting stories. Well, I don't know. It put me on the spot there. I'm not sure. Kind of the same deal as talking about before, like, favorite memories from my athletic experience, right? And I remember multiple times, with Carrie's office just being there, and just giving her a little knock and just be like, yeah, you got a second, whether she did or didn't, she was very, very generous with her time, and just being able to sit and talk and troubleshoot on, how we can make this the best experience for our athletes there. And, but yeah, they're a lot of fun. They had good energy. It was pretty cool to be around those guys.
I guess, who were kind of some of your favorite wrestlers to coach at Whitewater? Obviously there's multiple All-Americans when you were there.
Yeah. So man, there's a lot of guys that had a lot of success, like you said, in terms of favorite wrestlers. And that's kind of tough, to kind of equate that, because I wouldn't really necessarily associate my favorite wrestlers with necessarily the most success, maybe, although clearly one of my favorites was Jordan Newman, and our two-time national champion. It was a lot of fun to coach him in so many ways. And I always tell people, like, he really had himself figured out. And it's something I really encourage my guys here to this day. Like, as I coach any athletes, like, a level of personal mastery is really important, in pursuing that. And Jordan, did a great job of figuring out what worked really well for him, not just on the mat and wrestling, but nutrition wise, right? Sleep wise, training wise. It wasn't the typical package, maybe. He did things differently, but he knew what worked really well for him, and used the people around him to really help him. Anthony Egrin was one of my assistants at the time, was super close with Jordan, and former teammate, and then but he became a really big training partner for him at that time. And so that was huge, having people around him that knew him and that he knew and trusted to help build him. But there's other guys too, like Tommy G, a guy that I still, maybe one of the most frequent guys that I stay in contact with from Whitewater, who probably, not probably, he didn't achieve what he wanted to achieve on the mat. And we had some, we butted heads, more than once, I can tell you that. And, at the time, I could tell you, it probably wasn't my favorite athlete to have part of the program at the time when we were butting heads on some of that, but I loved the way he competed. I loved the way that he wanted it, and he worked hard. But, we butted head on some other things. But now, man, I have just a ton of respect for who he is and what he's become. And still like to, I'm learning from him, man. I'm reaching out to him, asking about stuff and how he's doing things. And so in terms of a favorite athlete, man, I don't know. That's tough. I think I probably got accused of having some favorite athletes maybe back in the day, but my favorite athletes are the guys that work their butts off, work harder than anybody else, take care of stuff on and off the mat, where they're taking care of school, kicking butt in school, and socially, keeping their nose clean and doing the right things life-wise, living clean life. Those are my favorite guys. and we certainly had plenty of guys there at Whitewater that were living that lifestyle and doing that. And so, but yeah, I probably will I'll take a political slide here and not take and choose just one guy.
Okay, so I guess a follow up on that is, what does it mean to you to get, I guess that obviously, to have some of the athletes that maybe you coached at either Heidelberg or Whitewater kind of become wrestling coaches themselves? I'm trying to think of who are the good. Jason Russell is kind of the first one that kind of pops up into my head. I know Eloy Perkin is an assistant coach. I know Anthony Hedegren has been an assistant coach at Whitewater. Adam Latella, I don't remember if you coached him, but obviously he's still been helping out at Whitewater. Just kind of talk about what that means to you.
Yeah, it really is. It's really satisfying because as a coach, you're hoping to impress upon them that change can happen, right? And you give them guidance and leadership to show them that this is the impact that you can have, not only in your own training yourself, but on others, right? And so the guys that, decided to make that jump into coaching, whether it be high school or collegiate level, was really cool. You mentioned, first Jason Russell. He was one of my athletes at Heidelberg. I was able to get him out to help us coach as a grad assistant, during his time. And then his next stop was being a head coach. And so pretty cool jump for him to go from being a grad assistant to being a head coach. And, for me, seeing the success he's had now, and I was like, okay, hey, maybe, excuse me, maybe some of the things that we were doing together and some of the things I was trying to instill him as a coach, really, really did work, because he's having a ton of success right now. They had 3 All-Americans, top 8 finish in the country. And, within just a couple of years of, him being there, a brand new program. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
Who is the other assistant? That I'm blanking on the name, but I remember he was
at Whitewater.
Yeah,
Justin Wharton.
Yes, that one.
Yep, Justin Wharton. Yeah, he's same deal, man. He's been he's rock and roll, just transitioned back to Toledo area. He's grabbing a program that was pretty unheard of, and he's already doing some big things there. And so really excited about, what he's doing now. He's, kind of back home where he originally grew up and doing that. And so those are guys that, I still talk to, both of those guys I talk to multiple times a week to brainstorm wrestling stuff, to talk, training, to talk recruiting, whatever it may be. But yeah, it's really gratifying to see your guys go on and want to make an impact, and they certainly had an impact on me. And, I hope I had an impact on them to help them be successful as well.
I know I remember the one video, I think is either Augsburg, that was going around when you kind of originally came to Whitewater with the blooper thing. But I guess this question kind of comes out of it. Do you still kind of incorporate faith into coaching wrestling?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%. It's really important to me. Ultimately, for me, I'm going to spend 4 to 5 years intimately with these guys. We're here every day together, right? We're super close, working together on it. But there's going to be a time for all of us where we're not doing that, right? I'm not mentoring each one of my guys on a daily basis every step of the way. And so I really, if I don't instill, my beliefs and my values, and I don't get to share that with them, the more concerned I am about what's going to happen down the line for them, right? Obviously, I believe strongly in my faith and, being a Christian man, that it's a great way to live, not just in your time here, but for eternity, right? So being a follower of Jesus is something that I try to share with as many guys as I possibly can. And, at Whitewater, there's probably a little bit more, a little bit more separation maybe that I would have maybe not liked, just with being a state school. But, again, thankful that we had opportunities and people like Ben Peterson, who's been, a huge in the development of all of our guys' faith there, and allowing them to pursue that and ask questions, right? Somebody that's been doing it for a long time. So from that side of things, that was great for me, meeting with coach weekly to go over that. And I still continue to do those things so that I can be the best I can, for my guys and my team. But that comes in the foundation of Christ. And, the closer I am to that, the better I am as a coach. And so that's definitely something I still try to instill here at Bellarmine. And, we have a very strong group of guys right now that are followers of Christ that are making a huge impact in the culture of our program. And so that's something that's, really exciting for me to see happen.
I was going to I don't know if I want to add anything about the blooper video, if that still gets around.
But yeah, hey, no questions off limits. You can ask about whatever you want.
Okay. I guess one of my questions is, obviously you just kind of came off of being an assistant coach at for the wrestling program at Army. My question out of that is recruiting at Army different than any other division or like schools like with Army or Navy or some of those military schools? Is recruiting different at the Division I level with those schools?
Yeah, I think it is. There's a lot of nuances maybe to the military academy component that you don't experience in maybe just the general admissions process, right? Is drastically different than, applying to a state school somewhere. And so some different components there that you need to be on top of and need to have your recruits on top of in order to put them in position to get in. Because it's not an easy school to get into, and it's not for everybody. But it's definitely very appealing to go there to those schools and what they're able to offer for them, during their time there and beyond. And so definitely different. But in terms of the wrestling side of things, like, you're still looking for winners, right? You're looking for champions. You're looking for guys that want to make a big difference. For them, maybe this have a little better understanding of what beyond them looks like when they come into a military academy, right? They come in understanding that, yeah, I'm going to have a bigger impact by serving my country. And, we have a couple guys here that are, involved in the Army as well here at Bellarmine that allow them to do that. But the majority of our guys on our team, they're looking through their career right now instead of looking to serve their country. And so their career being something serving bigger than themselves and their family, and, right, all those that extend under them. But ultimately, there's a lot of little nuances, but from the wrestling side of things, not really. You're looking for guys that want to work hard, want to do things right, are passionate about winning national championships. And so from that side of things, a lot of similarities.
I guess obviously now you're the head coach at Bellarmine, which is a Division I school. I guess what are your goals for that program, and talk about the season so far?
Yeah, so goals for the program obviously is a couple of different things. We've talked a lot already about the development of the men, the men that are part of a program, right? So really that's what we spend the majority of our time working on, is making these the best men they can possibly be. That are resilient, they can overcome adversity, right? They believe in themselves, they develop in self-confidence, not just in their ability to finish a single leg takedown, right? But to accomplish anything in life, right? I'm going to put them through a ton of adversity in the training that's going to make them wonder if they're ever going to survive, right? But once they get through it, as we coach them through it, they understand that, man, they're incredibly capable of doing anything, that comes their way, and overcoming anything, right? Not just, physical challenges, but, the worst things that happen in your life, right? Death of a loved one, or, tragic loss, that type of stuff. Like, those things are hard to overcome, right? And you want to train them to believe in themselves and know, hey, this is how you attack life, and give them skill sets to do just that. So those are things that I think wrestling provides the best way to do that. There's a lot of really cool sports out there that are amazing and require a lot of talent and ability, but just the grit and toughness and adversity and the constant struggle you get in our sport, I think really, really lends itself to teaching some incredible things about, how to live your life and how to become successful and how to overcome those toughest times, So goal wise from that, yeah, want them to get a level of personal mastery where they truly believe that, and they are taking daily action to do just that. They're living it, right? Not just a part of it. But what probably most people want to hear is like, hey, we want to win a national championship, right? Well, yeah, of course. That's an outcome goal that we're shooting for that happens one day out of the year, right? What happens one day out of the year, which we have a couple of years yet before we're eligible to compete at the national tournament. We're in our second year to transition to Division One, so we have a couple of years yet before we can pursue being national champions. So right now, our focus is, hey, when we step in a duel, we're trying to win our dual meet competition. The next opponent up. And so, we had success kicking right out of the gate. We beat, SIUE from Illinois there. It was a team that, we had lost to, prior to my arrival pretty bad. I think it was like 39-6 or 36-6, something like that. And so to be able to turn that around in the first duel, I think was really exciting for our guys to see, like, wow, we can really do some things, right? We've had a tough schedule, past that, and then we've definitely taken our lumps. Ain't no doubt about that. And we kind of, just like anybody, we're fighting injury bugs and things like that. So things are looking a little bit rougher for us right now, just because the depth of the program isn't quite there yet, where we have next guy in position to step right in. But that's going to happen with recruiting and continue to build. So really excited about, our progress and what we're doing, but that's what our goals are focused on. Hey, what can we do today, right? And what are we shooting for down the line at the end of the season? Where do we want to be by then, and kind of working everything back. And so, outcome goal in the future, yeah, we want to be a national championship program. And
how does it kind of obviously you're talking about that they're kind of a young Division One program. What does that mean to you to kind of take that over, with it being kind of a first couple of years of being Division One?
Yeah, it's cool, man, because I get to be a part of the groundwork, right? Pretty much everything that happens from here is we're going to be the first to do it. So that's pretty excited to be able to tell our recruits too, right? Coming in like, hey, you're going to be able to be the first. You want to be the first All-American. You want to be the first national champion, right? You're going to be the first to lead this team and dual meet victory over whatever. There's a lot of excitement around those things when you talk about building and transitioning, and so it's a lot of short, attainable goals that keep piling up, right? Keep stacking on top of each other. And so from, what does that mean for me? It's, every day I get to be, wake up fired up about coaching wrestling, about getting this team to the next level, and, focus on that next one thing that we have to do to make the difference. So that's a lot of fun and something I'm super passionate about and excited for.
All right, Coach. Great seeing you again. Great having a chance to talk to you again. And thanks for joining me.
Yeah, you bet, man. My pleasure. Have a good one.
All right.